We came to run up a bag today. What is going on, YouTube? It is Karma Speaks back with another video. Today we're reacting to Gen Z is getting priced out of their own country. This is by Early Exit. Pretty small creator, like bigger than me, but pretty small creator. So we're gonna run this one up, see what he's talking about. I already know where this is going. Because it's obvious. Like shit is expensive, bro. But we're gonna see what he's talking about.
I need to tell you something that's been eating at me for months now, and I think a lot of you guys are going to relate to this. I'm 24 years old. I make $125,000 as a software engineer in New York City. And before you click away thinking this is some humble brag from a privileged tech bro, just hear me out for a second, because what I'm about to share is going to make you realize how broken things actually are. I worked minimum wage and retail jobs for 10 years to pay my way through community college and university. I graduated with zero debt, zero student loans. I did everything right. Studied computer science, learned to code, got the good job everyone talks about. On paper, I won. I'm living the dream that guidance counselors sell to high school students. But here's what nobody...
He actually did do it right. I don't usually say this about people that go to school, but he actually did it right. Now, working, minimum wage jobs or fast food jobs for 10 years is a commitment, bro. It's a commitment because you're not getting paid a lot. And it's grueling work. You're in that kitchen, that shit gets hot, all that stuff. I know that was tough. So props to him. Definitely did it the right way. And it's crazy that he's in New York. We're probably close to each other. So that's crazy.
But here's what nobody tells you about that dream. My take-home pay after taxes is $79,000 per year. And my girlfriend, she graduated into one of the worst job markets for new graduates in decades. Tech layoffs, they're everywhere. Hiring freezes, company replacing entry-level positions with AI.
Wait a second. Is that what y'all W-2 employees are paying? That's what you make $125,000 and you walk away with $79K? That's insane. That's insane. I'm probably gonna pull in 100 or so, maybe a little bit more, a little bit less, but I'd say I'm walking away with 90. Obviously I have write-offs and stuff like that, but that's crazy. Damn, y'all are getting taxed.
Positions with AI or the offshoring of entry-level jobs. She's been grinding out hundreds of applications, rewriting her resume over and over, working minimum wage jobs while she waits for something, literally anything in her field to open up. So I'm kind of supporting both of us on that $79,000. In one of the most expensive cities in America. We live with 2 other roommates just to make the math even work. Just think about that for a second. Someone in my position doing everything society told me to do, making what most people would consider really good money, is barely just staying ahead. We're sharing a place with roommates. We're not going on fancy vacations. We're not buying new cars or thinking about buying property even. We're just surviving. Comfortably, sure, but surviving is nonetheless the word for it. If someone in my position is barely keeping ahead, then the traditional American path isn't just hard anymore, it's fundamentally broken for most people my age. But here's what I realized over the years, and this is why I'm making this video. We don't have to keep playing that game that rigged us. We can change the game entirely, and Gen Z might be the first generation positioned to actually do it. Now I know what you're thinking, another video saying work harder or start a side hustle or whatever, but that's not what I'm talking about. This is looking at the actual numbers, understanding what we're actually facing, and making strategic decisions based on reality instead of the stories we've been told about how life is supposed to work. So let me just walk you through what's actually happening to our generation, and then I'll show you the alternative path that I'm personally taking. Here are just the plain numbers and a real plan. And it's kind of why the job market isn't just being tough right now, it's actually systematically broken. Let's start with my girlfriend's experience because her story is way more common than mine right now. She did everything right, got the degree, built the resume, developed the skills, but she graduated right as companies started massive layoffs, right as hiring freezes hit, right as AI started eating at entry-level positions that used to be stepping stones into mid-level careers. Hundreds of applications sent out, constant resume tweaking, rejection after rejection, or even worse, just silence. She's working jobs she's well overqualified for just to pay the bills while she keeps applying, keeps hoping, and keeps grinding. And here's the thing that keeps me angry. This isn't her fault. This isn't a personal failing. This is what happens when an entire generation graduates into a fundamentally changed economy. And there's actual research on this. Graduating into a weak job market creates what economists call a wage penalty that can last to 10 to 15 years. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars in lifetime earnings just lost just because you happen to graduate in 2025 instead of 2018 or 2019.
You know what? I could see that, or yeah, I could see that because I graduated in 2021, and that was a weird time. I graduated high school in 2021, so for me, it was going to school that was the weird part, and that's kind of why I dropped out. Is it was all online, and I wasn't able to do it. I wasn't able to do the online thing. I needed to go in person, and it wasn't until probably like halfway through that year that they decided to let them back in person. But I was out in 3 weeks. Like I was done. But damn, that's crazy. I mean, you that's the thing is like we follow the steps. Like his lady, she followed the steps. She was getting ready to. It's so crazy too because my lady is in pursuit of cybersecurity, and she's got her way in. Her pops does it or whatever. But it's like it's so crazy because now the job market for tech and AI, or not AI, but all these tech and coding jobs and computing stuff, there it's AI has messed up the whole thing. So now like I'm not gonna say there's not a bag in the industry, but what I am gonna say is that the demand for it is way down. Like before, that was the field to go into. You're either gonna do engineering or you're gonna do some other type of computer science, or you do the Dr. Lawyer thing, right? Like those are the options. But like really, like the computer shit was popping when I was in high school. It was like, yo, I'm gonna go to school for computer shit, and now half the jobs it seems like are obsolete. So that's pretty crazy.
Or even 2020. You're not starting from the same place as people who just a few years before you started from. You're starting well behind them. And that gap actually never fully closes in your lifetime. See, even the National Bureau of Economic Research covers this. The long-term effects of graduating in a recession or recession-like environment has earning losses that eventually do fade, but it takes 8 to 10 years to even just catch up earning wise with peers that graduated a little bit before you. And again, that gap is still there your entire life. That gap never actually fully closes. See, my girlfriend is living proof of this. She's smart, she's capable, she's willing to work hard, but just because of timing, she's paying for it. And she's not alone. This is the norm for Gen Z graduates right now. Now, I'm not going to be doom and gloom because there is some good things that came out of this. It's forcing us to develop skills that traditional stable employment never actually teaches. It teaches you income diversification, adaptability, self-reliance, learning to create value outside of traditional job structures. These are exactly the skills you need when you're building towards something completely different. When you're planning an exit strategy instead of a traditional path. The job market being terrible is actually training us for independence, even though that's not what it really intends. And I'm not.
That's a fact. I mean, obviously, I think that because I'm self-employed, but the school system does the opposite. The school system teaches us to depend on an employer and depend on, please, sir, can you please give me my daily bread? Like that's kind of like how school like indoctrinates us into the whole system. But now with the current job market, we are seeing a whole lot more independence. People finding ways to make money on their own and not be sitting there begging every Friday or every Thursday, like, can I please get some money for my groceries? And like it's so crazy because I grew up in a household that very much advocated for entrepreneurship initially. And now I almost feel like I have a head start because for the longest, I felt as if I was behind because I didn't go to school and I decided to do my own thing. But now it's like we're all in the same position basically. You guys are unemployed. I'm self employed, which is another word for unemployed, and it's just weird that, we kind of end up in this same position. The path that was supposed to be the clear cut path to success in life is now crumbling and falling apart. And the path that was, I guess, the risky path that I took is now, I guess, exceeding expectations because everybody's trying to flock to that. Everybody's trying to do consecration. Everybody's trying to do this and that. And I had already started. So now I feel like I'm kind of ahead of the game when it comes to the whole self employment thing, which is kind of weird, but I definitely understand what he's saying. Like, it's definitely training people to be more independent and not so interdependent on a job.
And I'm not saying it's actually good. I'm saying we can still extract value from a bad situation. And let's talk about college for a second, because this is where the broken system really becomes obvious. College tuition has increased 180% since the early 2000s. And you want to know how much entry level salaries have increased in the same time? When you adjust for inflation. So, yes, when you adjust for inflation, it's actually a grand total of nothing. It has been completely flat adjusted for inflation. And you may be like, oh, I was earning this amount of money back then, and now I'm earning this. That is because you are looking at the nominal change and not the real change in salaries. In addition, you also have to remember you probably bought a house in that time, meaning your cost of living has actually barely increased compared to somebody just graduating, just trying to buy a house. Let that sink in. Education costs way more and basically gets you the same earning power as it did 25 years ago with more student loan debt. Actually, on average, it's about $37,000. And it's not uncommon to see people owing over 100,000.
So you're paying more for school, but getting the same amount for what you paid for. That is a prime example, or another example would be going to the gas station versus going to the grocery store. You can get the same thing at both stores, but the gas station is double the price. You get the same thing. I got this from the dollar store. This is an energy drink. This is 3D. This is a name brand, energy drink to some degree, I guess. It looks like it at least. This costs $1.25 at Dollar Tree. This would cost $4 at the gas station. And that's a prime example of what college is doing now, where it's like you're getting the same exact degree, you're paying way more for it, but in turn, you're getting paid for the same position, the same amount, adjusted for inflation. Before it might have been 50 grand, now it might be 65. I think like that's a direct correlation between average salaries. Like before when I was a kid, I used to look it up all the time and it would say, oh, median salary is like 50 grand or 52 or whatever. And now it says like 65 or something. And that's just inflation. That's just because of inflation. It's not because, people are starting to get paid more, meaning like, the value of their dollar is more. No, the value of their dollar is less. So they're getting compensated for that difference, for the inflation. So that's pretty damn crazy, bro.
$100,000 or more in student loans. So yeah, you're paying for the same degree that gets you the same job, except now you're starting tens of thousands of dollars in debt before even earning your first paycheck. And your first paycheck is actually less than what it would have been 25 years ago in terms of inflation. That is objectively the worst and most terrible ROI I've ever heard of. Like if this was any other investment, everyone would recognize it and be like, that's a scam. Now, there are ways to avoid this trap. You can go to community college, work through school, but most people my age get sold a different story. They go to a good school, get a degree, just a degree because it's the same, and say the job will come. You'll eventually pay that debt off, but except eventually now means a decade or more of payments, and the jobs now aren't even there. And even when they are there, the salaries haven't kept up with the pace of that debt. This is forcing Gen Z to think more critically about education ROI. More people are questioning whether a $200,000 degree or even a $100,000 degree even makes sense anymore, when it leads to the same job, or the same pay at least, as a trade school certification. So now we're routing around the traditional system because we have to. The system is broken, but we're learning to see the alternatives. And that skill, being able to question the system and find alternative paths, that is going to serve us really well. But it doesn't just stop there, because here's something I fully didn't understand until more recently. The American healthcare system isn't designed to keep you healthy, it's designed to keep you employed, actually. The average annual health insurance premium through an employer is now $8,435 for just single coverage. And if you want to cover your family, it's now around $24,000. And that's just the premium. There's also the deductible, which is around $1,700 to $1,800 before insurance even kicks in and starts paying for anything. Medical debt is...
Bro, what? Yo, some of y'all are getting absolutely wrecked, man. Some of y'all are getting wrecked. What, like, oh my God, that is insane. You got taxes, you're getting wrecked in taxes, you're getting wrecked in healthcare, you're getting wrecked in all these different, like, things, bro. And it's insane. Like, I'm getting wrecked too by some of them, but I have, like, my plays that I have in motion that, protect me or help me for the time being. But, like, dang, y'all are getting wrecked. Man, this the whole school system, the whole job market, it's all like, just weird. I don't want to call it a scam because some of y'all are able to run up crazy bags with it. You could run up a crazy bag in certain fields, right? But it is definitely an investment. And a lot of times you can't get around the investment, right? Like you can, like you said, you could do the community college and then go to a private school to finish up. But it's like a lot of times you can't avoid the investment portion of it. Like you're gonna have to drop that bag on it, and you're probably gonna end up, being in debt unless you're like this guy who is able to just work through it or work beforehand and then work through it to be able to pay it off. But it's like a lot of you, you're gonna get in debt and you're gonna be stuck in debt. And depending on what your interest rate is and where you get your loans from, whether they're private or federal, like y'all will be stuck in debt for probably the rest of your life because you're getting, taxed on like basically like 7% or 18%. I've seen some crazy ones like 20 something percent for a damn student loan, and you'll be making, $1,500 payments and not make any headway on that loan at all. And that's like the craziest part. So like, damn, bro, like y'all are getting messed up.
That is causing 60% of bankruptcies in the United States. It's the leading cause of bankruptcies in the wealthiest country in the world. And we are actually statistically more unhealthy.
Are we the wealthiest country in the world? Can somebody fact check that? I'm gonna fact check that later. I don't know. Like, are we? Like, for some reason, I was under the impression like fucking Great Britain. I keep saying like the UK. I felt like that was the richest country in the world, or like, some Middle Eastern shit. Not the United States. Maybe I don't know.
Unhealthy than we were just decades ago. This is creating an entrapment. And I don't think how people realize how insidious this is. You need employer sponsored insurance, which means you're locked into jobs even when they're terrible, even when you're miserable, even when you're being underpaid or mistreated, because leaving means paying $500 to $800 a month for marketplace coverage with worse deductibles or gambling with your health entirely. A lot of people can't take those risks. I can't take those risks.
The craziest part is that he made this video 6 days ago. And since then, a lot of people's insurance has gone up. Their premiums have gone up like double. So he's talking about $500-$600. Some people are starting to pay that on a weekly or a bi-weekly basis. Like they're paying like over $1,000 a month for insurance, like towards their insurance premium, which is absolutely insane, bro. And I'm under the impression that, the younger you are, the cheaper it's going to be. But honestly, I'm not seeing much of a difference. Like I'm seeing people in their early 30s and 20s that are paying $1,500, and then I'm also seeing elderly people that are paying a little bit more. Like I think I saw somebody say like 2,000 a month or 2,000 every week or every 2 weeks or something, like something super wild. And I'm like, yeah, that's not even sustainable by any regard. And like that don't even make no sense, but we'll get into that another day.
I have Crohn's disease. So if I were to like leave my job and have no insurance, I'd be screwed.
Well, that also makes sense. If you got diseases and shit, then yeah.
My medication costs $12,000 a month just to manage my symptoms. Now, thankfully, I have good insurance right now to where I don't have to pay that $12,000 a month, but that's how much it costs. People can't take those risks. You can't try starting your own business. You can't take time off to figure out what you actually want to do with your life because you need health insurance. And the only affordable way to get there is to just stay employed. Or obviously, if you're under 26, you can stay under parents, but that's costing them even more money. This isn't just some flawed and a broken system. No, it's entrapment. And again, I'm not just trying to complain. I genuinely want people to see this because once you notice the handcuffs, you start looking for a way out of it.
That's also an exception to the rule. That is such a unique case. Having a condition where you have 12K in medication that you have to take every single month, that's so unique. $12,000 for medication is insane, and every single month. That, if you're, I don't know if that affects your premium or whatnot, but like, if that's the case, then yeah, I mean, it's not your fault. You can blame your parents maybe, but like that is such a unique case, and I don't think that's it for everybody.
of them. And eventually we'll find that key. And again, it doesn't just stop there. Kids, our population is declining in the United States because having a child is becoming a luxury good nowadays. My girlfriend and I talked about whether we want kids someday. And the honest answer is I genuinely never wanted them, but she did. And I looked into the cost of them, and it can go up to $30,000 per year per child. And if you want two kids, you're paying around $60,000 annually in after tax dollars just for childcare. For many families, one parent has to go to work and the other one has to leave the workforce because their entire salary would just go to childcare costs. But that's not the reality. Both parents are working, both parents are paying for those child costs, and because of that, it's leading to a lot of neglectment. We're having kids being
Okay, we probably gonna wrap it up at that point because the video's getting long. But that's a conversation that me and my lady have sometimes. Is are we gonna have kids? Because I used to always want kids. I used to always, in particular, a son. I used to always want like three boys, right? I wanted three boys. And once I started getting to the bag and started, really focusing up on this money, I don't know, man. Kids are, I mean, look, they're great, but for a decent amount of time, it's pure liability. It's pure liability. You don't start to reap the benefits of having children, like the actual like passing on the legacy portion of it. Like you pass on your last name, and then like for the next like I'll say like 15 years, they're just like incapable beings that you really got to like care for to a new level, and the financial burden is absolutely insane. We talking about diapers, babies. Yo, I just learned this the other day. Some babies go through 15 diapers a day, and people are paying like $20 for a pack of like damn near like 10 or something like that, something stupid. Like they're paying crazy amounts of money for diapers, and I'm like, oh my god, you're paying $20 a day for the baby to shit. That's fucking, that's crazy, bro. Pardon my tongue, but that's crazy. So like, kids are expensive. Again, childcare costs. If you don't have like a relative, auntie or grandma, grandpa that can watch the kid, that's physically able to watch a child, because children are wild and rampant. Like, then you're out of luck, because you're gonna have to pay that two thousand per kid, or 1,000 per kid. I don't even want to say every month, because sometimes I be seeing 1,000 a week. So sometimes y'all be paying $1,000 a week just to have your kid watched. And at that point, it's like, yeah, one of y'all just stay home and watch the kid, because that's outrageous at that point. But yeah, like that's definitely something I personally consider is, is it worth it having a kid in today's economy? Because like it's there's not really room for liabilities like that. And I don't want to call a kid a liability, but like, there's not room for responsibility like that. You got yourself and you got your spouse, and it's like that's already stretching it enough. When you add new characters into the game, it's kind of like, hey, I don't know about that, bro. But yeah, Gen Z is getting priced out, but I think that Gen Z is also one of the most resourceful and creative generations to come. I think no matter what happens with the state of the economy, the administration, whatever it is, Gen Z in particular is smart enough to figure it out, able to get the bag in any way. In particular, the social media stuff. Like we're the generation of the social media stuff. Millennials, like some of them caught the end of it or whatever. Some of the younger ones, but the bulk of it is really Gen Z. Gen Z is about getting this money through social media, and we're gonna run up a bag with it, man. I mean, I have complete faith that we're gonna be fine. I don't think anything's gonna be too bad. We're priced out right now. We can't move out of mom's crib right now. But within the next couple years, there's gonna be a new method to running up this bag. And we're gonna run it up, man. But I appreciate anybody that watched this. Let me know what type of videos you guys want to see down in the comments. Gonna try to link this guy in the description. And yeah, let's run up this bag. Appreciate anybody that watched this. Peace.